Hey, Shane from Green Hills Guitar Studio here. In this video I thought we would talk about the basics of sight reading standard notation versus tablature. So to do that, I thought we'd also talk about a couple other musical symbols and notation. So in the video where we talked about guitar tablature, there were 6 lines and each one represented a string on your guitar. When you're reading standard notation, there are just 5 lines. So if it's a piece of piano music or trumpet or guitar, it doesn't really matter. That is, you will be reading in standard notation. In the videos where we talked about rhythm and strum patterns, quarter notes, half notes, just the basics of rhythm, we talked about half notes. And a half note gets 2 beats. So it's this circle with a stick on it, and it's not colored in. If it were colored in, that would be a quarter note. And then here we have our time signature. The time signature tells you how many beats per measure and what gets the beat. So in this example, we're in 4/4, so you'll get 4 beats per measure, and the quarter note gets the count. So essentially, you will have 4 counts per measure, and then you count to 4, and then you count to 4. This is a bar line. This separates the measures. So these are bar lines. In between the bar lines is 1 measure. So a half note gets 2 beats. So this would be 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. That would be the count in this example. This is our time signature. This right here, that is called the treble clef or G clef. If you look at this circle right here, it circles around the G line on this staff. This is called a staff or a stave. Where these lines and spaces are, that's your staff. So this circle circles around the G line. That's the name of that line. So this line is E, this is G, this is B, this is D, this is F. People come up with all kinds of ways to memorize the names of those. This space is F, this space is A, this space is C, this space is E. And then you can have notes above and below. We'll talk about that in another video. And you use ledger lines to write below or above. So this tells you you are in treble clef or the G clef. And remember the circle of this clef circles the G line. Guitar players read in treble clef. You will be reading in this clef. Bass players read in bass clef or F clef. So this dot right here, and then the circle off of the dot, that is the F line in bass clef. So this is how you can keep the clefs. I mean, they look obviously different. But this circle is on the F line. This circle is treble clef, G clef. It's on the G line. So let's talk about reading some of these notes. I thought I'd show you the notes on the first 2 strings in open position. And these first 3 notes, B, C, and D, will be found on your 2nd string. So this is your 2nd string open. Anytime you see a note written on that line, it's a B note. This is your first finger in the 1st fret on the 2nd string. That's a C note. This is your 3rd finger in the 3rd fret on the 2nd string. That's a D note. So B, C, and D. And then if you jump to the 1st string, the thin string, the high E, there's your E. Remember, this is F, A, C, E. That's the E. That space is designated for E. This is the 1st string open. That's E, If this is E, this is F, because it goes up in half steps. E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F. That's your G note. So F is the first finger on the first fret on the thin string. G is written above. That's your third finger in the third fret on the first string. So standard notation versus tablature. Standard notation has 5 lines. Tablature has 6. Bass clef, F line, F clef. Treble clef, that's what guitar players read. G clef. Circle around the G. We talked about the time signature, the half notes, and you can look at the other video to get an example of quarter notes, half notes, the rests, all that. So in this video I want to talk about the staff, or the stave, and treble clef, and I'm going to show you how to play these notes now that we've talked about it a little bit. So if you happen to look at a piece of music, you can start making sense of what you're seeing and how it's written. So on B, we're going to start on the second string. B is the second string open, so you don't have to hit anything. You don't have to put a finger down. You just hit the second string open. That's your B. I'm just hitting the second string. Okay. And then if I were to play a C note, I would put my first finger in the first fret on the second string and strike the string. That is that C note. D, third finger, third fret. Now, just like the other videos where I've talked a lot about hand position, I could play these notes B, C, D. My hand is in a good hand position, and I'm able to get on the tips of my fingers. I'm not jumping around, I'm not hopping around, I'm not moving a bunch, and just like the other video we talked about this. Take this tuner out of the way. My hand position on the back when I play B, C, D. I'm not moving around a lot. The more you move around, the more likely you are to make a mistake. So you don't want to be doing a bunch of this. On the front of the neck, you want it to look like this. B, C, D, B, C, D. B is on the line, right in the middle of the lines. C is the first fret, D is the third fret. Okay, now we move to the thin string, the E string. So this is the second string open, B. First fret, third fret. This is the first string open, E. So if I take my hand position and just shift from here to here, you get E, open, first finger, first fret is F, third finger, third fret is G. So E, F, G, E, F, G, B, C, D, B, C, D. Okay, so that is the basics. Those are the basics of standard notation and sight reading in the open position. And I wanted to just give you 6 notes to work on your hand position, start learning the staff, the names of the notes, and then I think I'll give you some exercises a little later where we can do some stuff, some sight reading in the open position, and we'll expand these to the lower. We've done the top 2 strings on the guitar. We'll do the bottom 4 strings as well, I guess. Okay, that's it. Pick up some music and try to identify these notes. Try to find those notes and play them on your guitar. And the best way to get proficient and good at sight reading is to do a little bit every day. You don't want to crash course sight reading. It doesn't go well. You could become a really good reader in a short amount of time if you just designate and set aside, 10, 15 minutes a day. It's a good way to break up your practice routine. Just work on a little bit, set a timer, work on it for 10 or 15 minutes, put it down, go do something else. Next day, do the same thing. You're learning how to read a whole new set of symbols. It's a language. It's not something that you can just rush through quickly. So do a little bit each day, and then you start spreading up the guitar in different positions, and you learn to read in those positions. And then before you know it, you'll be reading pretty proficiently, and you'll be able to pick up music and make sense of it. You'll understand rhythm, how to count, how to stay in time, how to find these notes on the guitar. And just like in the tablature video, I talked about what's great about tab is it tells you exactly what fret to play. But it's just a bunch of numbers. You don't know, it often doesn't tell you what fingering to use. And then also you're just reading numbers. You're not making sense of the guitar in terms of the neck or relating to other instruments. So when you're looking at notation or a piece of music, it really helps a lot to be able to have a basic understanding of reading notation and rhythm. Because if you're looking at a piece of tab, it just gives you the numbers, but you don't know how to read the rhythms up above, even on a fundamental level. You're just kind of guessing at rhythm. And guitar players guessing at rhythm is a common thing, and it's not a good thing to do. Drummers and bass players will hate you for it, and you'll get more gigs if you're a better rhythm player. So work on the basics of this, and then we'll move on next time. We'll talk about putting the staff together. So like when you look at a piece of piano music, the bass and treble staff combined. Okay, that's enough. Have fun. Catch you next time. Email me if you have any questions. Shane@greenhillsguitarstudio.com. All right, take care.